Hey there, and welcome back to Temporary Locals.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Megan. This week, we are taking you to the desert of Arizona. This is a trip that we took over the weekend, so it is pretty fresh in our minds.
Very fresh.
So before we get into that, if you are new here, we are an adventure-loving couple sharing real stories from places that we've actually been. So whether you're planning your next adventure or just here for the storytelling, you're in the right place, and we'd love it if you'd subscribe and join us for the ride. We put out new episodes every week.
We did take a week off. We took a week off because we were going on this trip and we had a lot going on. So we're back and we're better than ever. And if you think we were never coming back, you thought wrong. Here we are. We just got back from the desert a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So Temporary Locals is still going strong. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We're allowed to take a break. We have full-time jobs too.
That's right.
So
We took podcast PTO, pod PTO.
yeah. Is it PTO? It's just TO.
From the podcast. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, sometimes we'll start our episodes off with like a current event. I don't know if this is really a current event. It's just kind of like an intro, kind of like goes along with our episode, because when we flew out there, we had a connecting flight in Denver. And so the Denver International Airport has a little bit of lore and some conspiracy theories behind it. So we were just wanting to we thought it would be fun to kind of chat through it and kind of run down the list. Biggest one I think we talked about was the Blucifer, which is the 32-foot, 9,000-pound blue horse with glowing eyes. It's a statue kind of outside the airport. It's believed to be cursed because it fell on the artist that designed it. We tried to look for it while we were there. I've seen it before, but
yeah,
usually after
it's on the main drag out from the airport, going into the airport and leaving the airport, but it is kind of far away. But I think you can spot it from certain like vantage points within the airport. We did not see it. I even tried like looking it up on Google Maps while in the airport, but you can look at pictures of it. It is pretty it's an ominous kind of statue. And yeah, the story behind it is pretty crazy, and it killed its own creator, which is, I think, kind of poetic in a way. It's almost like the story of Frankenstein, right?
So the artist was Luis Jimenez, and I don't remember when he started constructing it, but it was like being finished in 2006. That's when a piece of it fell on him and killed him. Yeah, eerie, poetic. I totally get why people say it's cursed. It also it has red glowing eyes, so.
Yeah, it's one of those art pieces that's cool, but it's also like, why is it at this airport? It's kind of, a lot of people may think like Denver Broncos, but if you kind of look into the story behind the art piece itself and its creator, it has nothing to do with that. So yeah, it is kind of like it's kind of a creepy statue to just have there for no real reason other than it's just a cool art piece. But it is a focal point of a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding the Denver airport, which I think we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other ones. But yeah, Blucifer is definitely a sight to behold.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely, it's like, because there's so mmany different things about the Denver airport that are like, people are like, that's kind of weird. So it's like, one's a coincidence, two is, there's so many things that it's like.
Yeah.
Another one is there's, rumors that there's underground bunkers or tunnels. So some people say that it's built on top of like an underground city, a military bunker, or, they have secret tunnels connecting to NORAD. And that, I think, theory came largely out of there was a lot of like construction delays, and they blamed it on like malfunctioning baggage systems, but who really knows?
Yeah, I mean, that one to me isn't as like conspiratorial. I think most airports probably have some sort of underground tunnel system or bunker in case of some sort of like international threat, or to move high value people, whether that's politicians or who knows, maybe celebrities, so that they don't have to walk through the airport. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot more underground than a lot of people realize. I mean, a lot of cities have entire underground like cities under them. A lot of military bases have underground stuff. I think if you could go underground in a lot of places, people would be surprised how much is actually what you see on the surface isn't all that's there. So for an airport to have like underground bunkers or tunnels or whatever, I don't think that's that crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily means anything.
Yeah, me either. And I mean, I was just at the Salt Lake City airport, and that's just how you get around. Like the terminals are just like stood up buildings, and they're spaced out, and then
Mhm.
you get to the terminal by going underground, like just walking.
Yeah.
So,
The Denver airport is nice though. I mean, they've done a lot of, aside from all the like art pieces and art installations, they've done a lot of like renovations in there and everything. And so it's like it's all very nice. They have that big plane that's in there. I took a photo of. You can kind of go up on like the upper level and look out over most of the airport or that side. They also have like some like antique type museum stuff in like glass cases up there that you can go look at. Stuff from like ancient like China and stuff.
oh,
So
that's
it's kind
cool.
of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about Masonic symbolism. So there's a Freemason capstone from March 1994 in the South Terminal, and it mentions a New World Airport Commission. So just kind of feeding theories of like the Illuminati or like a New World Order controlling the airport. Have
Hmm.
you have you ever heard about that one?
Yeah. I listened to a podcast, The Y Files. Anybody out there that's ever listened to that podcast? It's a really cool show to listen to. He had on a guy who was talking about the Denver airport and some of the conspiracies behind it. And he was actually like his family's actually connected to the Denver airport. I think one of the roads leading in and out of the Denver airport is named after his father, who was a Freemason. So there is actual like history with Freemasonry connected to that airport. Now, whether or not that means that it's like, you know, anything malicious, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, but again, that goes back to my earlier point is like a lot of stuff is. People would be surprised to learn the history behind a lot of whether it's buildings or, whatever. I mean, there's deep rooted history with a lot of secret societies, the Masons, the Knights Templar, a lot of those things. I mean, all of Washington D.C. Anybody that's ever watched, what's the movie? Nicolas Cage.
National Treasure?
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's a lot of that stuff's true. So I mean, again, that doesn't like mean anything necessarily, but there is definitely like Masonic symbolism in the Denver airport, and there's definitely like history that goes back to that kind of stuff involved in the construction and design of the airport.
Yeah, I don't think I knew about the like secret society symbolism. I knew about Blucifer. I knew about the tunnels, and then the only other thing I really think I knew about was um the gargoyles, which so there's two stone gargoyles sitting in the like near baggage claim, and they're supposed to be like protective humorous nods to like traditional Gothic architecture, but a lot of people think they're also symbols of secret societies. We didn't actually, so we wouldn't have seen them there because they were in baggage claim, and we had a
And
connecting flight, so we didn't exit security.
we also don't check bags. We don't check bags in this
Yeah,
household.
we didn't.
Fuck you going to baggage claim.
Yeah, except for when you have one person in the group that's like, I
Yeah.
checked a bag, and it's like,
I checked a giant suitcase. I got to roll around the world. Go fuck yourself.
yeah,
Unless I'm going somewhere for like a month, then I may need to. When I was out in California for a month, I had to actually I don't even own a suitcase by the way, or I didn't. I had to go because I was there for so long and I bought so much stuff while I was there. I had to actually go to Marshall's and buy a suitcase to check a bag so I could fly my stuff home.
yeah, I remember that.
But other than that, I never check a bag.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I don't either. I do carry a rolly suitcase. Now that we're talking about our travel systems, it's a carry on. I like it. I like the 360 wheels. I'm like, I'm fancy. Skirt. Yeah, so back to Denver, there's apparently doomsday murals, and then people say the runway looks like a swastika shape. The officials say, well, they're designed for efficiency. I didn't, we didn't have a window seat, so I didn't look to see, but
I think they say the same thing about the layout of Washington D.C. I forget if it's a swastika or the Star of David, which are two completely opposite symbols, but it has a certain, if you like trace out the streets and the major monuments, it like makes a symbol. And so I think some cities were probably designed that way.
yeah, I wonder if it's easily seen or if you really have to do some like mental gymnastics to connect the.
You could probably go on Google Maps and see it from the air. But again, that's people's imaginations playing, it's just one of those things. You see what you want to see. If you're looking
Yeah.
for a conspiracy, you'll find it.
Yeah, confirmation bias.
Yeah. So I think Rome's set up a certain way too, in the Vatican.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's a lot of history there, obviously, but yeah, the Denver airport is at first glance, you go in and it looks like a normal airport. Yeah, there's some weird murals and stuff, but you see that kind of stuff a lot of places, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But when you look into the history of the airport and you kind of get into like um, some of the stuff that went into like creating it and some of the history behind that, and you kind of read some of these conspiracy theories, they are pretty interesting. And I don't know again how much of it is true, but it's something cool to look at.
Yeah, and it's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
We had fun with it while we were there. All right, I think we spent enough time talking about Denver International, so let's kind of get into the bulk of our trip. So overall, we spent time in downtown Mesa. We visited Montezuma Castle. We did the Grand Canyon, Sedona. We saw a huge cactus that we'll talk about. We went to Saguaro National Park and Tombstone. So we were only there for 4 days. We flew in on a Thursday, came back on a Sunday, actually Easter Sunday. So happy belated Easter. We packed a lot into this trip, and we'll probably say this again, but if we had more time, we would have done a little bit more in each place. For the most part, we had a great time. We're pretty happy with all that we were able to pack in there. We were all over, northern Arizona and southern Arizona. Did a lot of driving, but it was awesome.
Yeah,
It
this
was
was definitely a road trip.
Yeah.
Um, between the two of us, I think we probably drove 20 hours.
Yeah. It didn't really feel like that because it was a little short, 3 hours here, 2 hours there.
Yeah.
So, first day we got there, we spent some time in downtown Mesa, largely because I have a friend out there that I work with. So, I wanted to stop and say hello. And we ate at Tacos Chiwas in downtown Mesa. And we also kind of walked around while we were killing time before we met for dinner. We saw the Nile Theater and took a picture of that because, you know, Jared is I would say aficionado. I don't know. You really like ancient Egypt, so we thought that was a cool mural. We can put that on our Instagram. We also went into this really cool like book gallery in downtown Mesa, and it's just like the sign just says books in red on the outside, and so we were like, oh okay. We like going in, random bookstores. So
Yeah, it was a
um
used bookstore. I think it was actually called the Mesa Bookstore. And it really was like an old school library feel to it. It was all
yeah,
wooden. A lot of again, all the books were used, so it was like it had a very it almost felt like antiquity being in there. They had the old roller ladders
yeah,
like a
floor to
librarian.
ceiling wooden
Yeah.
shelves.
And yeah, just every type of book you could imagine, but they had an entire section on ancient history and ancient civilizations, and then within that section they had an entire area just on ancient Egypt. So I was probably there for like 20 minutes just looking at the books.
Yeah, you bought one.
Yeah, I
You
got a
bought
book.
the
I bought a book that really caught my eye. Mark Lanier wrote a book called The Complete Pyramids, and it's just an entire encyclopedia and explanation on the not just the Giza pyramids in Egypt, but all pyramids in Egypt through every dynasty, through every time period, through every kingdom. And so it's like the complete. If you are interested in the construction of the pyramids or the history behind the pyramids or the utility of them, it is a entire encyclopedia on that stuff. So it's really cool. It's got pull out pages for more of the major pyramids. It has like a pull out where you can unfold it and it shows you the inner chambers of the pyramids. It shows you, all the different history behind it. And it has diagrams and pictures, color pictures.
Yeah.
It's a very in depth book.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. And I think you got it for like $10.
Yeah, it was like $10. Yeah.
It's a pretty book, but it's a hardback. Is that
Yeah. Hardcover.
hardcover? One of the things. So yeah, we really enjoyed that bookstore. Harper and I walked around it, and I took some pictures and stuff. There's just so much in there. There's an upstairs. There's a downstairs. It was pretty quiet while we were in there. I think we were the only people in there. So it was really cool to spend time. If you're in downtown Mesa, check out the bookstore down there.
It was definitely a hidden gem.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people nowadays, I think books have kind of made a comeback. I think people have kind of rejected online reading and fucking Kindles and all that bullshit. you see a lot of people going to Barnes& and Noble. Every time I go to a Barnes& and Noble now, which is, a chain and everything, but I like them. I like Barnes& and Noble. They have books. They're always busy. Like, a lot of people like books again, but this place wasn't a Barnes& and Noble, like, it was a real bookstore, you know?
Yeah.
It's like going to a real coffee shop, not a Starbucks.
Yeah, and
So
you
we
don't
really
come across
felt
them that often.
what?
You don't come across them that often.
Right. So it really made us feel like temporary locals going to, like, a local, real local bookstore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we also went to Mad Candy, which was a suggestion from my friend who lives there. It's the theme is a mixture between Alice in Wonderland and Willy Wonka, and it's just like a really, you know, whimsical place. There's like all sorts of colors and decor. You walk in and there's a table that's set up like the tea party from Alice in Wonderland, and there's just different little areas that you can sit in. They've got like the photo walls with the what is it? The neon signs that say like Mad Candy. It's really cool. They've got all kinds of
very
obviously candy in there.
very Instagrammable.
Yeah. Yeah. Very aesthetic. But yeah, and so we
I
got
was
a
in there
couple
reading
things in
my
there.
book
I know. Yeah.
because we went there right after the bookstore, so I was in there reading my Egypt book while you guys were looking at candy.
Yeah. We're just walking around like taking pictures, and Harper got a giant gummy bear.
Yeah.
They had like pickle flavored candy, like gummy in there. I was like,
Gross.
I know, gross. But anyways, we really enjoyed it. It was a cool little kind of pit stop before we got our trip going. So that was Thursday. We went and we stayed with your aunt, so we went and
Shout out Aunt Debbie and Uncle Tom. Thank you for being great hosts. My family out there, I haven't seen a lot of them for a long time, and they were all super awesome. They're super good people. And we kind of used my aunt's home in Cave Creek outside Phoenix as a base. We did stay in Sedona one night, which we'll get into, but um, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Like, this trip was also to kind of see some family that we haven't seen in a long time, and my aunt and uncle and all my cousins and their kids, and they're all just really nice, really great people. So we had a lot of fun with them.
yeah, absolutely. It was my first time meeting most of them. We went to Peru with Jared's Aunt Debbie, so she was with us on that trip. But yeah, the rest of your family we had never met, and I think they had never met Harper either, our 12-year-old. So yeah, it was awesome. We spent time with them on Thursday for like a Passover dinner, and then we went and rested our heads for a big day. That was Friday. So Friday we got up and we had basically two things on the list.
Yeah, we got up early. I made sure everybody was up early. Yeah, we headed out from Cave Creek and we headed north. That was the first day I had it kind of planned out. 2 days. One day we were going to head north, and the next day we were going to head south. So
Yeah. So we went up to Montezuma Castle on the way to the Grand Canyon. So I forget exactly. It wasn't that far from Cave Creek.
no, I think it was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, okay.
Um, yeah,
It's in Camp Verde, Arizona. So that's a national park. So Jared got a lifetime America the Beautiful pass. So was
yep,
able to save some money on, entrance fees using that lifetime pass. It's a short walk, so a 3rd-mile loop that you can go up and see the cliff dwelling. There's like a water source. I can't remember if it's a river or what that we could look out over.
it's lake. It's Lake Montezuma.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You want to read some of the history? What?
Do you want me to read it?
Uh, yeah, go ahead. It's on there.
So, this Montezuma's castle is attributed to the Southern Sinagua people, which is a pre-Columbian culture, and the evidence suggests that the dwelling was constructed as early as 1125 AD and occupied until as late as 1395 AD.
And the
Yeah.
cliff dwelling is really cool. It's like carved into solid limestone, which is a soft stone, and it's like easily like malleable. Some people may know that like the casing stones that were on the Great Pyramids in Egypt were made out of limestone. And so a lot of ancient cultures that had like access to limestone would use it for construction. But yeah, Montezuma's castle is really cool. And I was waiting for you to pronounce Sinagua. I wanted to see what you were going to say.
Did I do it right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Can't tell me nothing.
But it's funny because Montezuma is obviously the Aztec king, the ruler of the Aztecs. And so it's actually named after an Aztec ruler. That's what it's named after. So
Yeah, and I think you said it's not actually his.
no,
Yeah.
I think that's what archaeologists have called it because the Sonagua people would have predated the Aztecs, and I don't know. The Aztecs, there is evidence that the Aztecs went up into southern North America, but no one really knows that they made it that far up. Although there is people that claim there's like Aztec petroglyphs as far as like up in Utah. But yeah, the Sonagua people would have actually predated the Aztecs, at least mostly. And there's no evidence that they had any like connection. So, but it's named Montezuma because I think that's when the Spanish arrived and they saw it. They named it after the Aztec ruler of
Yeah.
Montezuma.
Yeah, it was really cool to see, the cliff dwelling, and it was also a good pit stop, good thing for, families to see. It's not a super long hike, or, it's pretty flat too. And you can get your national park passport book stamped.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't think either of us have posted any pictures of Montezuma Castle yet. So
No, I've been
um,
really behind on posting anything.
yeah, you can't go up super close to it. It's up
Yeah.
on the cliff side, obviously, but it is really cool to see and to know that people, you know, back in 1100, uh, carved that into the mountain and lived there. And I think people lived there more recently than that. I think that they say that um, even like Pueblo people inhabited
Hmm.
that cliff dwelling as early as like 17, 1800s.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, it'd be really cool to go inside.
yeah, you can go inside some of them. Some of the ones in Arizona and even up in like Moab and stuff, they have cliff dwellings that you can actually go inside.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we did our pit stop at Montezuma's Castle, and then we headed back up north to the Grand Canyon South Rim. Also, Jared got us in with his America the Beautiful pass. We never calculated how much money we saved. We should have done that.
Well, I got us into 3 parks, right, with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't remember how much Montezuma's Castle was, but Grand Canyon was, I think, $25 a car.
Yeah,
So right
Montezuma was
there,
15 because I
yeah.
remember somebody joking that we passed by. She was like, "Oh, my $15 back." She was joking though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was
So
15.
probably 50. I probably saved us $50.
Yeah, I don't know. Saguaro might have been 20, 25.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, we went to Mather Point. We also got our cancellation stamp, which I was a little bit disappointed at the Grand Canyon stamp. Like, this is just me. This is of all the things to be like upset about, but a lot of places you go, they have like the cancellation stamp, which is the circular one with the date and it says, whatever national park it is. And then they have some like other like
Cool one.
yeah, anniversary one
Mhm.
that's like really cool and it's a big stamp, but Montezuma's Castle had different ones like they just it's more of like a, a stamp of like a picture or something, but it's also related to like the place. But yeah, I was like, I guess Grand Canyon National Park is pretty busy, so maybe they used to have those and like people walked off with them or something. But that was all that was at the station. I was kind of like, oh, okay, well,
Well, it's kinda like when you get a border stamp entering a country in your passport, and it's, like, just a lame it's not cool.
yeah,
Or if they don't even stamp your shit at all, and then you go somewhere and some places now will do, like, other stamps, like, so you can get, like, a cosmetic stamp, but it's like when we went to Machu Picchu, you could
hmm
get a stamp at Machu Picchu, going up to Machu Picchu at least, of, like it's like a cool stamp that has the mountain and it has, like, the ruins and stuff, and it looks like Machu Picchu stamp in your passport, but they tell you, you don't wanna do that.
don't put the yeah,
You don't wanna get extra stamps in your passport that can invalidate your passport, but
yeah,
they do that because some countries either don't stamp your passport when you enter or their stamps, like, just fucking lame. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Peru didn't stamp us, but
Right.
yeah, I remember being at that little station at Machu Picchu, and I'm like kicking myself for not having like an extra piece of paper or something just to stamp it and like have that, and put that in a scrapbook or something.
Yeah.
I guess we just got to go back. But yeah, so we didn't spend a whole lot of time at Grand Canyon National Park, maybe 20. I mean, you can make a whole day, multiple days at Grand Canyon doing all the hikes and stuff.
Yeah, because we had so much we wanted to do and we didn't have a lot of time, we didn't hike at the Grand Canyon, which you can do, and it is cool to do, but you and Harper had never been there before, you guys just wanted to see it, say
Yeah.
you've been there, it's one of those things.
Yeah. And also, I mean, It is a it's huge. Like, people tell you, right? Oh yeah, Grand Canyon. It's literally called the Grand Canyon. But when you like actually get out there, just from the one viewpoint, it's like it just keeps going, goes on forever. It's definitely it's a sight to see.
It is. I think it's one of those things that's like underrated in a lot of ways
Yeah.
because people that have never been to the Grand Canyon are like, it's just a big hole in the ground. People say the same thing that about the Egyptian pyramids. Like, it's just a pile of rocks.
Yeah.
But then you go there and you see it and you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
It's yeah. You have to see it. You have to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we left the Grand Canyon and we headed to Sedona, which we were looking forward to. We had to go to the Turquoise McDonald's.
I do. Our 12-year-old was fascinated.
Yeah, I mean, I was too. We talked about the black arches in Peru.
Mhm.
So this is like the only place in the world where there's turquoise arches. And so we didn't want to be like loitering, so we did actually purchase a meal. Not proud of it. But yeah, and Harper's hair was also she had like a turquoise underneath peekaboo thing, so she wanted to take a picture with the sign. That was fun. We stayed at the Sedona Pines Resort, and we weren't planning on staying there. I think we booked it Friday. I booked it when we left the Grand Canyon. Uh, so it's a little cozy resort. I booked the 1-bedroom cottage. It was more than we would normally pay, but so it was $250 a night, but it has like all kinds of pools and jacuzzis and
Yeah, it was like a little community. They're cottages and they almost are like cabins, but they're like made to look like they're adobe, I guess.
yeah.
I don't think they actually were, but it's almost like a trailer park,
Yep.
but it's nice. And yeah, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. We were only there for one night. You get there and you check in at the front desk, you get your stuff, and then they're like, "All right, you have to go see the concierge
Yeah, go to the
ladies."
concierge so she can give you your parking pass.
Yeah. Well, first I was standing there and she complimented my raw turquoise necklace I got from an indigenous woman. Um, and I was like, "Thank you." And I thought they were just like in there selling stuff, like if you wanted to buy stuff, but they almost make it seem like you have to go in and talk to these people. And I thought that they were going to try to sell us stuff like, "Oh, do you want
Like
a
a
helicopter
timeshare.
ride? Do you want an
Oh,
air balloon? Do you want to
no.
go doom buggying?" Or I thought they were trying to sell us stuff because on all the walls it was like a tourism place. And so I was like waiting for it, and I was like, "Oh, here we go." But I think she kind of
No,
figured out that we weren't buying nothing.
well, and they are there to sell stuff. I don't know what their structure is if they get commission on it or whatever, but like a concierge traditionally is supposed to help you, just if you don't already know what you want to do, share with you, hey, this is what you could do in Sedona. Which they may or may not get a kickback. I don't know. But she did ask, like, what are you guys planning to do? So we told her that we wanted to go to Cathedral Rock. That was like the main thing on our list. And so she actually gave us, I think, some bad advice.
Yeah, she pulled out a map, like a 1800s map, and we told her that we wanted to go to Cathedral Rock, which is the main thing that I kind of had planned for us. It's one of the it's one of the more popular hikes in Sedona, but for good reason. It's one of the like coolest hikes. And she was like, "Well, how are you guys getting there?" And we're like, "Well, either the trailhead or the shuttle." I think we were actually planning on going straight to the trailhead. There's a couple parking lots that you can go to, but they fill up really quick. So I
Yeah.
knew we would have to be up early and get there early.
And they opened at 8.
Right, but she was like, "Don't do that because they fill up super early and whatever." And she's like,
No, she told us not to use the shuttle.
"Right," and she said, "And don't use the shuttle because the shuttle takes 3 to 5 business days, it seems like." That was her exact words.
Yeah.
She's like, "Go where the locals go," and she told us and she drew on this map in pen that I couldn't even understand, and so
She
she was
told
trying to
us
tell us, like, an alternative way to get there.
Yeah, she told us to go to the Dead Horse Ranch State Park in Cottonwood. And so we're like, "Okay." And so we get up and we put that in our GPS and we go there, and rather than just going straight to the trailhead, which is what we were originally going to do, and then backup would have been the shuttle. So we go to that state park, and at the front,
Well,
we
first, it took us a while to get there
it did take us a while to get
because we didn't
there.
know what we were trying to follow a map, and we were like it was like a very poorly designed map that, like, a kid would make.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, like cartoon map.
Yeah.
Um,
It looked like a kid's menu at a fucking restaurant.
it did. Yeah, it did. So we get there and we talk to the like ranger at the state park and we're like, "Hey, can we get to Cathedral Rock from here?" And she's like, "Yes, but you have to do a river crossing and it's 2.5 miles one way." The hike that we were talking about doing from the Cathedral Rock trailhead is like 1.2 miles round trip.
Mm.
There's a lot of, I think it's like elevation, but so I'm like, "Oh, we should have clarified that when the concierge lady was telling us." I thought I was under the impression we were gonna be able to access it from the same place, but I don't know what I thought, honestly.
Well, and
But
we would have done that hike, but we had Harper with us.
yeah, we had a 12-year-old with us who's not prepared for a 5-mile hike.
Right. Through a
And
river.
yeah.
This isn't Costa Rica.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so we were like, "Okay, let's try to go back to let's go to the trailhead." So we went to the trailhead. Honestly, in hindsight, we probably should have just gone straight to the shuttle. I don't know if it would have changed the outcome, but it just added salt to our wound to get to the because at that point it was 8:30 when we got to the trailhead and there was somebody sitting there and turning people around because the lots were full. So it's like, okay, we're getting frustrated. Then we go to the shuttle and the shuttle parking lots are full, so we can't park there. And we were like, you know what? That's it. We're not doing this.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention that it's spring break at this time in Sedona. It was super busy. And so we knew it would be busy. But because it was spring break, our daughter Harper was on spring break, and so she didn't have school and we wanted to take her out there. So Sedona during spring break, I guess it's high season. It's just crazy. And trying to go anywhere or do anything was just there's so many people and everything was full and you couldn't get into anything. And I just at this point I really wanted to go to Cathedral Rock and we couldn't find a way to get there. I mean, aside from hiking through the desert to it,
And
there was just no way to get there and there was just so many people. I was done with Sedona at that point.
yeah, I know. It was like we were a little like brokenhearted because everyone that I talked to about Sedona was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so dreamy. Like we love Sedona." Every single person that I talked to that either lives in Arizona or, has been there is like, "Sedona is awesome. You're gonna love it." And that's just not the experience that we had really. And part of it is on us, right? We could have planned a little bit better, made sure that we were clear on what the actual plan was before we left.
I also think that Sedona in general is kind of it's very artsy. There's a lot of crystal shops. There's a lot of like yoga studios. It's very like spiritual. It's almost like a southwestern Asheville in a way,
Yeah.
except it's like they're rich hippies. That's kind of the vibe I got of Sedona. Yeah, it's very artsy and hippie, but it's like, rich people. It's like Trustafarians and stuff. And so I think Sedona would be my vibe if not for the people, and that's kind of the same way I feel about Asheville. Yeah, I just, I love spiritual stuff. I like towns like that, but like this one just seemed very like too fancy for me,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and we were also kind of warned that like, if you're going to shop downtown, it's like a look only type of place because it's
Mhm.
expensive down there.
With that being said, the nature of around Sedona, the town itself, is
Beautiful.
stunning. The Red Rock, it's beautiful. It's definitely worth going to. I just don't know how much time I'd spend in town.
Yeah, and I mean, also to be fair, we didn't we weren't planning on spending the whole day in Sedona. We were just going to do Cathedral Rock until like 11 a.m. and then we were leaving to go southern Arizona. So, if we had been there a couple more days, we could have been like, "Oh, okay, well tomorrow we'll try again for Cathedral Rock," but we just didn't have the time. So, while we were leaving Sedona, we saw a sign for the Bell Rock landmark. So we were like, you know what, let's just stop and see if this trail is open. There was like one parking spot left that was like not really even a parking spot.
No, it was not a parking spot. We did that a few times. We did that at the Grand Canyon too.
Yeah,
We just
parking
kinda
was
made our
crazy.
own parking spot. Yeah,
Yeah. But we parked there and we got to get out and stretch our legs and do a little mini hike.
up the Bell Rock, yep.
Yeah, the Bell Rock pathway. And then we kind of just turned around. We also did some off roading while we were in Sedona.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, first of all, we booked a rental car, obviously, for all this driving we were gonna do, this road trip all over the state of Arizona, and we booked through a unnamed rental car company,
Yeah, we're not telling.
which shall not be named.
But we booked.
Unnamed rental car company that we shall not name, but it rhymes with schmashminal, right?
Yeah, we're not naming it.
So they tell you a spot, and you go to the spot, and your car's there, obviously.
Yeah.
And we thought we were getting a sedan.
Yes, because what I booked was a Toyota Corolla or similar. So I'm like, okay, we're getting a sedan. We pull up to this spot, and I was like, these are SUVs. And I look, and I'm like, we got a Jeep Compass.
Yeah.
4-wheel drive. And I was like,
I mean, it's not a Rubicon, but it'll do, right?
It's got 4-wheel.
Yeah. So Megan decides that we want to go off-roading in this fucking Jeep Compass.
Well, yeah, I just had the itch because we're going to Moab soon to do that in actual, like, capable Jeeps. Not that this one
Jeeps
wasn't capable, but
hey, it did it.
It did it. Yeah. So I looked up an OHV trail I was looking for the least extreme OHV trail out there. You know what I mean? And so what I found was something near like Ranch Loop, and it was on like a free range cattle area, and it was. I don't know. It was kind of muddy, but there were some spots that were pretty sketchy for what we were driving in. May or may not have scratched it a little bit.
Yeah, we got on a dirt road, and you take a dirt road out, and there's people camping out there. There's people with trucks. We saw a couple buggies and stuff, like dune buggies and stuff. But then eventually you turn on to like a clay mud trail. It's a very narrow trail. And I guess in a bigger Jeep with a lift or maybe some bigger tires, it would have been not too bad. But some of it was kind of, I kept using the phrase saucy. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, babe, this looks a little saucy up here.
Dude, and there was some times where we were like angled really far, which it didn't feel, it always feels worse than it is. Like it feels like tippier than it actually is. But yeah, there was one part where I was like, white knuckling it through there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And because I kept thinking like, first of all, if we get stuck out here, I didn't even know if we had reception out here. We're in the desert, by the way. We're outside Sedona, but we're in the desert. Aside from a few RVs out there, there's nobody out here, and they're back there. So I just kept thinking, if we get stuck out here, there's going to be nobody like to come pull us out. What are we going to do? Call a tow truck? I mean, I guess maybe, but we didn't see anybody. We would have just been stuck out there in the desert all night. We would have had to walk back to town. And so
I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah, of course you weren't. That's the things I have to think about.
Okay.
And then I was thinking, like, I'm going to have to push this fucker out of a ditch.
Yeah.
I'm going to have Harper out there with me, help him push. Or we could have put Harper in the driver's seat and been like, just press that pedal. We're going to push, But we didn't get stuck at all. And the Jeep did really well. I mean, again, some of the trails were kind of saucy, but at one point, as we're coming down this trail and it kind of narrows, you had to stay to one side to kind of straddle the way the path was, because it was really rocky.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid a saucy spot, so I had to get close to a bush.
Yeah.
That was basically just thorns.
Yeah, it was a desert bush. I mean, it was like a fucking, yeah. And so as we go by this bush, we knew we were going to hit it, obviously, but like, dude, the sound.
It wasn't that bad.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
We all looked at each other just like, no.
No, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was. We knew. That's why we got out, because you could hear it.
Yeah, I got out. I was like, I know there's going to be something. And it looked worse with all the like dust getting in the cracks.
Dude, it looked like Freddy Krueger fucking took his claws and fucking.
No,
yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
Bruh. You're saying that now because we're fine, but at the time, you were a little worried.
I was a little worried. I was like, oh man, I'm not going to get my deposit back.
Yeah. We were like, oh, do we have to go get paint? Like, we have to.
Yeah, I was like, are we going to have to go to an auto store and try to match the paint? Yeah. And be out there with a little Q-tip.
Yeah, dude. It was not.
No.
But how about the cattle? The cattle are they're free range cattle, like we said. So they're just out there free ranging it up. And we drove up the trail, and there's a watering hole, and there's some cattle around the watering hole. And then there was a black cow just in the path.
Looking at us, staring us down.
Staring at us like, who the fuck are you? This is my watering hole.
They looked mad. And
he didn't move. Like, we had to almost drive into him, and then eventually he kind of walked off to the side. But he was like right there. He was like 5 feet from us.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he was on that side, and then the watering hole was on our left, and there was like 2 or 3 bigger cows and then 2 calves. And a couple of the cows on our left, which I'm assuming were female. Yeah, one of them had an udder, was just kind of like staring us down too. And that one that stared us down, the black one, was a male, and he was just looking at us from over there. And I was like, oh man, I was like, slowly drive through, like la la la, it's fine. But the little calves were cute. They were all fuzzy.
And so we had our windows down, and this cow was just like, you can almost touch them. And I remember thinking, like, oh God, we're going to be those people. Like, you see all these dumb fucking tourists that get mauled to death by a fucking bison,
Yeah.
you know? But we were totally those people. We were taking pictures of them and stuff.
We were like, oh. Yeah, and Harper had a little plushy cow, her moo moo.
Yeah.
And so she held him up and took a picture with the cows in the background.
Yep. So that was our off-roading experience outside Sedona. We headed back into town, stopped, got out, looked at the car, and was like, ugh. And it's actually how we found our cabin that night, or our little pueblo.
Our cottage?
Our cottage, yeah. Cabin cottage. Because remember, we were coming back after dinner, which we'll get into dinner, but there was another Jeep Compass just like ours, red also.
Yeah.
And we saw it and we were like, oh, is that ours? Because it was dark.
Yep.
But I was like, no, because it doesn't have scratches all over it.
Yeah, that became the running joke the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
It was me scratching the rental.
So, yeah,
back to the concierge. We forgot to mention, they also give you a
complimentary.
Yeah, here's a ticket for 2 complimentary margaritas. And Jared doesn't drink, so I'm like, sweet, I'm getting 2 margaritas. So it's at this
Another pro of dating me.
So there's an on-site Italian restaurant. They said it was like the best Italian in Arizona or something like that. And so we're just like, okay, let's go check it out. We'll get our free margarita with the purchase of an appetizer or something, whatever. But that's not what she said.
Which
That's
means
what the
it's not
ticket
complimentary.
said.
Yeah.
I know. We debated.
These complimentary, quote unquote, margaritas were not complimentary.
Yeah. And then they sold me on the upgrade because I, for one, I don't like a regular margarita. I'm just not a big fan of sour mix. And so if I do get a margarita, it's usually flavored. And I didn't even ask if I just assumed that the complimentary margarita was like a straight up margarita, no flavors. But I don't know if maybe it was just the upgrade was the like upgraded tequila or whatever, the higher end tequila. And maybe I could have gotten.
But she's like, yeah, with the upgraded margarita, it's only, what was it, $6?
They're normally $14, but on the receipt they were $18.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So anyway, it, again, wasn't complimentary because we ended up spending $1 million for dinner.
Because their fettuccine, and this was like, their fettuccine was $45.
Yeah. This was a fancy place.
What?
Which is funny because the place we stayed at, the cottage, it was nice, but it wasn't super expensive or fancy.
Yeah.
So it's like, why this like super fancy Italian restaurant is connected to it was weird to me. But so yeah, we ate dinner. The menu, it was a very, I guess, authentic Italian place. It wasn't a Carrabba's.
Yeah.
Or an Olive Garden. A lot of the stuff on the menu, I'm not big into Italian, so I didn't know what a lot of it was. Harper didn't know what any of it was, and she picked some random shit.
That had so many mushrooms on it.
Yeah.
She picked it all. Oh, it was so funny. Yeah. So we got suckered into that one. But I mean, it was a pretty good dinner though.
Yeah, it was. And it was nice to sit down and just enjoy like a nice meal together,
Yeah.
especially after having fucking McDonald's.
Margaritas.
You got lit off some margaritas, and then leaving the restaurant, you were feeling kind of good. And there was music playing. Even in the restaurant, we could hear the music outside. They have a patio, and they were having like live music out there. And I remember we heard somebody, like through the wall, I could kind of hear the music. And I was like, is that Purple Rain?
Yeah.
Because all I hear is like,
yeah.
I was like, is that Purple Rain? So when we were leaving the restaurant, you were feeling kind of good. I'm always feeling good. I'm eternally drunk. So it's, all the acid I did when I was younger. I'm just always just on a trip. So we went out and we're like, as we were walking by the patio area, we saw a guy up on stage, looked like Little Richard, straight up looked like Little Richard in a suit and everything, and just like singing. And he had a guy playing, I think, electric drums or something. And it was just these two guys. And I noticed there was like 3 people out on the patio listening to this guy
as an
sing
audience.
his heart out.
Yeah, dude. And they had a lit up dance floor that you'd see at like
Yeah.
a wedding. So like the dance floor was there and like it was all lit up. So we're like, let's go. Harper was like
Well, I kind of
covering her
felt
face.
yeah. I kind of felt bad because there wasn't really many people listening to him. It was like 3
Yeah.
people out there. And so he was like out there singing for essentially nobody. And I was like, let's go in here. So we went in and we danced a little bit. We
Yes.
were the only ones up there dancing, and
We
Harper was embarrassed.
we danced and did like a fun dance and then we did a slow dance.
Yeah.
Um
He did a slow song for us because we were about to leave after the first
mhm.
song, and he's like, "No, no, no, hold on, I got something for you." And then he played a slow song. Do you remember what it was?
I don't, because we talked the whole time.
We did.
We were like, you know, in in love, talking on the dance floor.
Yeah. It reminded me of when we went to the wedding and we took Harper to that wedding,
Yes.
and you and I cut a fucking rug up on that dance floor,
Yeah, we did.
and Harper was just like, "Oh my
She's
god."
like, I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun. And then we left there and we played ping pong, which is where I had already did something to my neck before we went out there and I slept wrong on it or something. I don't know. I've got a doctor's appointment this week, but I have self-diagnosed that I have like a pinched nerve in my neck or something and I was starting to feel better, but then we played
That
ping
was the
pong.
margaritas.
But then we played ping pong and when we got back I was like I'm in pain. But we had fun playing ping pong,
We
dude. That
did.
was awesome.
Yeah. It was me versus you and Harper.
It was basically me versus you because
Well, Harper's not great, but
poor girl. Just I guess the way that we were hitting it back and forth, you didn't really hit it to her side of the table, but anytime it went over there, that was the end of that round.
yeah. Oh, she would just like smash it.
She'd either smash it or
Miss
totally
it,
miss
yeah.
it.
I was like, "Bro, ping pong, like, you gotta be very easy with it."
But we had so much fun. All 3 of us, we were just laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. All right. So we kind of went out of order, like chronologically. That was Thursday. No, that was Friday night. So Saturday was when we tried to do Cathedral Rock, and then we ended up leaving Sedona. We did the
Mhm.
Bell Rock hike. We headed to the Shiva Cactus, which you looked up and found, which is an 80-arm saguaro, and it's located on like the Ironwood Forest National Monument. So I was surprised when we went there because we didn't actually see the national monument, or I didn't see a place where there was like a park, or because I was looking forward to getting another stamp.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be in like just like a national park of some kind or, reserve area. But and I think you can access it from wherever that was, but we found it right off the road.
Yep.
And it's a 2-lane road through the desert, super I mean, there's nobody else out there other than us, and, like, lonely highway, and it's just, like, right off the side it's maybe 50 yards off the road, 30 yards off the road,
Yeah.
and it's not, like, protected by anything, there's no fence, it's a wonder nobody's ever tried to, like, damage it because people suck, but it is a sight to behold, and you can see it from the road. It is a giant cactus.
With so many crazy, crazy, arms growing off of it at, various heights of the cactus.
Mhm.
So they estimate that it's between 150 and 250 years old. So I wonder how hard it is to date a cactus because I feel like 100 years is a big range to
Yeah.
have in your estimation. But yeah, you can look it up and find it. But I found just kind of looking up like, hey, where is this cactus? It's past Pump Station Road, just after the second cattle guard, and you can see it from the road, like Jared said. So we just put the Silver Bell mine into our GPS because you will see the cactus before you get to the actual mine. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not the tallest saguaro. I think we had even seen
yeah,
taller ones. It's still very tall, but
it's
um,
very unique.
it's very unique, and the arms that grow off the side of it and everything it's got more arms than any other cactus in the world. So
Yeah,
for that reason, it was a really cool thing to go see and to get pictures of and to experience.
yeah. And again, I mean, that we probably spent 20 minutes there.
Yeah,
And then we left there and headed to Saguaro National Park.
to see more saguaros.
To see more saguaros.
And honestly, going to saguaro after going to see the Shiva cactus, I thought to myself, because I've obviously seen saguaros before, and we saw them even before we went and saw either of these things. They're everywhere in Arizona,
Right.
especially southern Arizona. But I thought, like, is that going to ruin Saguaro National Park for me? Like going to see you know,
Crazy cactus.
it's like going to see a ditch and then going to the Grand Canyon, like or going to the Grand Canyon, I mean, and then going to see, like, a ditch or something. It's
Yeah.
like the 80-armed saguaro is so magnificent and so big and so crazy looking. Is it gonna ruin, like, Saguaro National Park for me? But it didn't.
No. Saguaro National Park was my one of my favorite parts of the trip. It was
Mm.
so cool, so gorgeous. Yeah. Uh, just being able to kinda drive through, it's very scenic, there's, like, flowers, all sorts of, like, just different shaped cactuses and desert brush all over the place. It's really cool. It's a one-way, so you can drive through, it's like an 8-mile loop, and it's one way, so, like, once you enter the park, like, you
You
have
have
to
to
do the
drive the
loop.
loop, which is inconvenient, but also good at the same time.
Yeah.
'Cause, we were on a schedule, obviously, and wanted to go to Tombstone after this. I was like, it'd be nice to just be able to go and because we hiked Saguaro. We hiked the
Mhm.
Mika Trail, which is a pretty simple, easy trail. We had, again, we had Harper with us.
Yeah, it was 1.5 miles round trip.
And so we hiked through the saguaros and everything. It was really beautiful. But I was like, when we were leaving, I was like, it'd be nice to be able to just leave and not have to drive. But in hindsight, I'm glad it was like that
Me too.
because that drive was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever get the chance, if you ever go to Saguaro or you've been there, um, do the hikes and stuff, but also just driving through the national park is just also incredible.
Yeah, and I just wanna call out, this is we were by, like, the Rincon Mountain District on the east side of the park. I think there's another side that we didn't go to, so this was, like,
Yeah,
just
there's the
outside of
Tucson
Tucson.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think saguaro, I think the national park is underrated in a way. I mean, it's popular to an extent. You see a lot of pictures and stuff, but I think when it comes to Arizona in particular, a lot of people focus on the Grand Canyon, which is again amazing, and a lot of people talk about Sedona. You don't see as much about saguaro. Even when we were talking to my aunt about all the things we were doing, she's, and they've lived in Arizona for years now, and they has spent time there before, and she's like, "I've been to the Grand Canyon, I've been to Sedona." She said, she's like, "I've never been to Saguaro." She didn't really know much about it.
Yeah,
And so I
and
don't think it's as well known, but it's definitely like one of the best places.
yeah, I agree. I do think it is underrated, and there were other people that I spoke to that live in Arizona or have lived there that I mentioned our itinerary, which they told us we were crazy and or we were expert travelers if we could fit all of that
Well,
in
we're
just a few
both.
days.
Turns out we're both.
And B, because I mentioned Saguaro National Park, they were like, "Oh, well, there's like a botanical gardens in Phoenix if you want to go see some saguaros." Like they just like didn't seem very impressed by saguaros, which I guess we kind of talked about that. Like, you go to a place, we're from the East Coast, so we don't see cacti all the time. So to
Yeah,
go out there, every single cacti we saw, we were like, "Oh my God, it's so cool."
yeah, I don't a botanical garden is cool, but it's like we have botanical gardens here that have that have cactuses and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it's not the same as seeing them in the desert.
Yeah.
And so that's what we wanted to do. And I think saguaro of all the places we had been is like the was probably the most like Southwest deserty place. I mean, obviously the Red Rock stuff up in Sedona and everything in the mountains and a lot of the places we went was very deserty, but like there's something about Saguaro National Park. It's the highest concentration of saguaros in the world, which they mainly only grow in the Sonoran Desert. But so even in the state of Arizona, that's where most of them are. There's over 2 million of them, and
Yeah.
just that vibe of being in that national park and hiking amongst all these just a forest of saguaros and desert landscape. It was the most during this trip that I felt like I'm in the desert,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, we forgot to mention when we went to the Grand Canyon. Speaking of like it, being the desert, feeling like the desert, right? We were talking our 12-year-old up. We were like, "All right, it's going to be so hot when we get there. We're going to the desert. It's going to be so hot." We didn't think about how far north we were going, I guess, and the time of year because when we got to the Grand Canyon, we went from it being like 80 degrees in Phoenix to 47 degrees at the Grand Canyon. I had to buy a pair of sweatpants and a sweatshirt. It was cold.
Yeah, I talked it
So,
up because we didn't mention this, but I used to live in Arizona. I used to live in Sierra Vista in southern Arizona, and so my time out there, I remember it being the desert and being extremely hot. It just and even the week before we went on this trip, it was really hot out there. But
mhm.
this week, I was cold.
Yeah, there was several times where it was like, we're cold." And, like, we knew it was, like, the desert, so we brought sweatshirts and stuff for like in the evenings because it gets cold in the evenings, right? But yeah, we were not prepared when we went up to the Grand Canyon
It was cold.
for that. Yes, it was very cold.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why we didn't spend a whole lot of time there.
Well, it's a different, everybody says it's a dry heat. It's a different type of heat. I mean, out there, 90 degrees feels like 90 degrees. We live in South Carolina, so when it's 90 degrees here, it feels like 110.
Yeah, it's the humidity makes a big
100% humidity
difference.
all the time. So, yeah, out there it's like it's hot, but a desert heat is different and it's not as brutal to me, I guess. Because the humidity is what gets me.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like not being used to that climate and then going out there, it almost feels like a little bit more dangerous because you don't realize how
Hot it
hot
is.
it
Yeah.
is. And that's another thing where people end up getting in situations where, they're like hypothermic. It's not because they're, I guess mainly because they're unprepared, but, like people like us could have been out there hiking and, not paying attention to, the time or whatever. And you end up, you think you're in the desert, but it gets cold and you get.
Yeah, they most people actually die in the desert, not from the heat, but from the cold at night.
Yeah.
Most people can survive during the day. It's at night you actually can get hypothermia and die. So you wouldn't really think that, but that's actually how most people die in the desert. But another thing that's dangerous about the desert, and especially hiking and being outdoors in the desert climate, is that you don't sweat as much. So you don't notice yourself sweating as much. So
You get
you don't
overheated.
hydrate as
Oh.
much. So you don't, out here in South Carolina, when we're out hiking at Congaree or something, you're sweating so much that you're drinking water to
Mm-hmm.
replenish yourself. In the desert, you don't sweat as much, so you don't hydrate as much because you don't realize how much you're sweating and you don't realize how hot you actually are.
Is it that you don't sweat or is it that you sweat but it evaporates immediately?
I mean, probably both. You probably don't sweat as much, but you do sweat. But you don't hydrate as much because you don't feel it as much. You don't feel like you need to as much. And so people get heat exhaustion out there a lot easier,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that's another dangerous part of the desert is like you don't realize until it's too late, like what kind of situation you're in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have stories and I know people that have gotten lost in the desert. There's a former UFC fighter that got lost, I think near Death Valley. He was out hiking and, yeah, just died out in the desert.
Wow.
I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You'd see that I mean, I've never seen it, but in Sierra Vista in southern Arizona where I used to live, it's 10, 15 minutes from the border. And I mean, there's stories of like you'd be out hiking somewhere outside Sierra Vista and you'd find a dead body. You'd find a migrant across the border and they die out in the desert.
That's so sad.
And so you'd see gallon jugs of water tied to a stick out there. Like people would leave for
Like a
people
trail
crossing the
angel.
border. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Wow.
that. So yeah, I mean, the desert is dangerous and you have to have your wits about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was
Saguaro.
also Saguaro is a cashless park.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think most people have cards and stuff, but yeah, I did want to call that out. They don't take cash there. It's like there's like signs everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we left Saguaro and we headed to Tombstone, Arizona.
And originally we weren't sure that we were going to be able to go to Tombstone, but
Yeah.
we saved some time not going to Cathedral Rock. And in
Yep.
hindsight, it was kind of nice because yeah, we knew we'd be back late, but we were like already down, past Tucson. So we were like, let's go down to Tombstone.
Yeah, it was an hour and 45 from Saguaro,
Mm-hmm.
Tucson area, to Tombstone. So we got there just before sunset, it was a really pretty sunset. Tombstone's really cool, and you had been there before.
Yeah, I'd been there a number of times and it was nostalgic for me. Because I had been to most of these places that we went when I was out in Arizona before, but Tombstone is a place that like was really close to Sierra Vista where I was, and so my buddies and I on the weekends we would go out to Tombstone and we would hang out. We'd go to that saloon,
Mm-hmm. Big Nose Kate's.
Big Nose Kate's, and yeah, so I just have really fond memories of Tombstone, and it was just really nostalgic to be there. And I talked about this a little bit in some posts I made, but it's like I remember going there at 20 years old with my buddies and just like getting rowdy, and I wasn't even old enough to drink yet. And now coming back almost 20 years later with, you and my kid was just such a different experience, but to be in the same place that I used to frequent all those years ago was like super crazy to just think about like how much life has changed. And I look at my buddies that I would go to Tombstone with and they have kids now and they're, and it's just like we've all grown up so much and to go back there to like essentially like a childhood place for
Yeah.
me was like real cool and it was really nostalgic and Tombstone hasn't changed much. I mean, it doesn't really. It's a old western town that's still set up that way.
Yeah, and what I liked about it is they have it like the road roped off, so they don't have motorized vehicles traveling down the road. So it's cool to just walk in the middle of the road and look on either side of you of all the, the I guess it's just Western, the architecture of like the buildings together and they're all wooden and the little wooden porches and whatnot. It was just really cool. Wait,
Yeah, I remember back in the day when I would go to Tombstone, they would actually have people on horses would come into town on their horses and like tie their horses up outside the
well,
shops and the saloon and stuff. Like it was a real western town, and it's where the movie's based on the movie Tombstone. I believe they even filmed it in Tombstone, which is a historical movie. It's based on real events, and the shooting, the gunfight at the OK Corral happened there, and they do reenactments every day for forever. They've done it, so you can go see that while you're there.
yeah, we got there, kind of too late in the day to see any of the reenactments, but we were able to see like for lack of a better word, some of the stage areas where they do the shows. So that was still pretty cool. And I wonder if we had gotten there earlier, if we might have seen some people there with like horses.
Yeah. Well, I saw a few people that looked like they were it's hard to know in Tombstone because the locals there are real cowboys, a lot of them, and they that's how they dress, like real Western people.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell if somebody's a part of the reenactment or if they're just a genuine cowboy, but we saw people that looked like people would have in the 1800s
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Even when we were at the saloon eating, there was people in there that I was like, "Are you a part of the reenactment or are you just like?"
Yeah, you're just here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. I'm glad that we were able to make that work because yeah, again, that was an optional stop for us. We had it like tentatively on our itinerary and that's why we kind of kept all of our other stops. We had a time crunch, like, okay. Like
Mhm.
not to the point where we were like we couldn't enjoy ourselves. We still went and enjoyed it. It just
Right.
worked out in a way that we were able to go to Tombstone, but that was put us further from Phoenix area, which is where we were driving back to at the end of the day because we didn't want to get another hotel room. Um,
It's funny because driving towards Tombstone, towards like Sierra Vista, Bisbee area down there, we passed signs for Nogales, and that brought back memories too because and I've talked about this when in like my Mexico episode where I talked about my early trips down to Mexico that kind of started in Arizona, but I remember going down there and we talked about how if we didn't have our 12-year-old with us, if we didn't have Harper with us, we probably would have crossed over into Mexico.
yeah,
And next time we go out to Arizona to visit and we do stuff, I think we're going to take more time. And I would like to go into Mexico. The rental car company was very adamant about us not driving into Mexico, but I wouldn't do that anyway. I would park at the border and we would walk in.
yeah,
So Nogales is a really cool like border town. So
yeah. I'm super excited to go back.
Harper didn't have her passport, so
Yeah.
that's another
Oh,
reason. But I think kind of being on a tight schedule, but cramming all this, I don't want to say cramming in like a negative way, but like getting all the things that we wanted to do in also kind of helped us realize that like, okay, now like we know the things we like to do, we know the things that we saw when we go back out because we are planning on going back out at some point. We know what we want to take more time for this or that or what we didn't get to see enough of that we'd like to spend more time next time. So it did
yeah,
it did help us in that way. I think it was a really good trip overall, just with all the stuff we got to do.
yeah. And Harper was a good sport.
Yeah.
She was kind of just chilling while we were driving so many different places, and she was excited to see. The main thing on her list, I think, was the Grand Canyon. That was the thing that she was telling all her friends about, like, oh, on spring break, I'm coming to the Grand Canyon.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so we had a good time. I'm glad. I feel it was an experience. I feel good about what we were able to get in there.
Mhm. Yep.
And like you said, now we know what we would go back and do. I definitely do Saguaro again.
Yeah, Saguaro. I'd like to spend more time in Tombstone.
Yeah.
You can even stay there. I noticed where we parked, like off out of the main town, they have like the old horse-drawn covered wagons that you can actually glamp in. I don't remember them having that, when I was there before.
Yeah.
I think that would be kinda cool, or just to find, like, a little, like, old western motel
Yeah.
near town. I'd like to stay in Tombstone. I never actually stayed in Tombstone before, so,
Yeah. I think that'd be fun.
yeah. And the saloon was really cool. It's like a
Yeah.
real Old West saloon. You go in, and they had
Yeah.
live music in there. People were in there line dancing and stuff.
Yeah, and there's stained glass everywhere. So like on the front there's stained glass, and even inside there's all sorts of stained glass with the Doc, what was it, Doc Holiday
Doc Holliday, yeah,
and some
and
other.
Wyatt Earp, and yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that movie's playing nonstop on the TV in there. There is a TV in there, but other than TV, I mean, the whole bar looks like a real it's old western town bar.
Yeah, the bar itself is wooden.
It's cool.
Yeah.
They have a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
So
They also have like on the when you go to the back to the bathrooms, there's all the walls are just covered in, pictures of people that have been there, or there was a lot of like military memorabilia there too.
well, it's close to Fort Huachuca and,
Yeah.
military bases and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool. We really enjoyed Tombstone, and then you drove like all day, so I drove us back from Tombstone. It was like 3 hours
Mhm.
right on the dot, I think. And man, I was starting to struggle there. I'm like holding the wheel, like you fell asleep, but I think if you would have woke up and looked at me, I'm like wide eyed, like I'm like, I'm so tired. And then you woke up and probably the last, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, kind of, we were chit chatting and stuff. And so, that helped, but we were pulling in the driveway
In
and
Cape Creek.
in Cape Creek, and okay, if you haven't listened to any of our other podcast episodes or like seen any of my social media, I got like a couple years ago really obsessed with snakes because I kept seeing them everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are so cool. So I started looking up like, okay, well, I want to be able to identify the snakes in my region. And I joined these like Facebook groups and whatnot that are like snake identification Facebook groups. You can take a picture of a snake, you give them the location that it's at, and there are experts in there that will tell you exactly what it is. So we pull in the driveway.
And you're no slouch yourself.
Yeah,
You're pretty good.
I am pretty good, but I'm not an expert on like the snakes native to Arizona. So I can do the southeast
Mhm.
all day, every day. Oh, that's a cottonmouth. That's a copperhead. Oh, common water snake. I got them. Um, and especially the venomous species. But anyway, so we pull into the driveway, and I'm like, oh, there's a snake. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's a snake in the driveway." And I'm so excited because it was like the whole time we were out there, I'm like kind of looking around. I'm like, I hope I see like a rattlesnake, like far away. I don't want to step on one, but like I want to see one
Mhm.
in the wild. Um, so I'm like real excited about seeing the snake, and you're like, he's like wrapped around a hot pocket or something. I'm
I
like,
was like, "Did the snake eat a Hot Pocket?" It looked like a Hot Pocket.
it did, yeah. So we get out the car, mind you, we are exhausted, tired. We get out the car and I walk over there and I'm like, we can't really tell. We can't, see what it is. But then I notice it's one of those like sticky traps that's kind of like folded over on itself. So it's like, it looks like a box. It did look like a hot pocket. And the snake was like curled up around it. I had like a charger in my hand and I just kind of like touched its tail and it reacted and moved. And so I was like, okay, well, it's still alive. But I was like, man, I know I've seen before, that's pretty common to see in those like snake groups is people, snakes stuck on sticky traps. And I've seen them give advice on how to get them off the trap if they're still alive. And so I knew about what it would take to get it off. But I'm like, man, I'm so tired. So we're like, let's just go inside. I was like, first, I want to confirm what it is because I don't know what it is. I was pretty sure it wasn't venomous, but I was not sure of the ID. So I took a picture of it, posted it on the page, and then we went to bed and we're like, we'll go see if it's still alive in the morning. Um,
You had nightmares about it.
I didn't have nightmares, but it
You
took
dreamt
me a
about it.
while to go to sleep. And as soon as I I kept waking up in the middle of the night and, like, thinking about the snake, and then I woke up in the morning and, as soon as I opened my eyes, I was like, "Alright, let's go check on that snake." So the group confirmed it's a Sonoran Gopher
Snake.
Snake. We named him Stucky or Stucco.
Stucco. We're assuming he was trying to get at a mouse that was trapped in that trap.
Well, I don't know because there wasn't a mouse there. There was, like, a petrified lizard on the
Yeah.
trap, but
Well, and he didn't look like he had eaten, but
yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, maybe he was just kinda sniffing around because he smelled something in there. I don't know. But, so we got some Pam cooking spray, we went out there, and he was not happy at all. At first, we thought he was gone because he's so well camouflaged. He had moved more into the rocks, off the driveway and into the rocks, um, and so we just saw the box, and then as we got closer, we were like, "Oh, wow, he's still there." His camouflage was so good. And so I went to pick him up, and he's like, it's a defense thing that they'll do. Even though they're not like rattlesnakes, they will wiggle their tail, and it does, like, hitting the rocks and stuff, it does kind of sound like a rattle. And so he was doing that. I picked him up, and he was kind of hissing, but we were able to see that he was kind of stuck on underneath his chin, and I don't know, maybe a quarter of his body was kind of wrapped up on there, and then the rest of the sticky trap had, like, dust and other bugs stuck to it, so it wasn't really sticky anymore. He just happened to find the one spot on that trap that was still sticky, unless he's the reason why it's all dusty.
Yep.
Maybe he was, like, thrashing it around and it got dust on there. Not sure, but, um, yeah, so just started kinda spraying his body, trying to avoid his eyes, and, yeah, I sprayed, like, around. I worked my way up to the head because I didn't wanna get bit, and after a while, I mean, I spray the oil on there, and he starts kinda wiggling around, so it naturally kind of works the oil underneath. So then I started noticing, "Oh, okay, where I did spray, he's already, like, loosened up from the trap," and it was getting closer and closer to his head. And so, he's still agitated. He, she, I don't know. But the snake was still agitated because it obviously doesn't know that we're trying to help it. And so it was coiling, like, up around its head, which actually worked out because he was, like, covering his eyes. So I was able to use the cooking spray, and we had a Q-tip too. But then it basically got up to its chin, and then he just started pulling his head back. And it was so weird to see the sticky kind of come off the trap, but he was totally fine. I thought maybe there could have been some, like, degloving of, like, the skin being left on the trap, but no, there was nothing left behind. He looked totally fine.
That's what I was worried of, is it almost seemed like
It
because I don't know if those traps dissolve like mice or if they're just meant to stick them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was worried he was gonna be like fucked up. But yeah, my job for this whole thing was to go get the Pam cooking spray
Yep.
and to record it.
Yeah, you had to be my cameraman
So
because I had to document it.
you're the snake expert. I was like, I'll let you Steve ruin it. So
Yeah.
but it was pretty
Thanks,
cool to
babe.
see. It was cool to watch you, work that, and the snake at one point was like wrapping around your hand and
Yeah.
stuff, and he was also like a 2 or 3 foot snake. He
Yeah,
was
he
pretty
was pretty
big.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was cool. And then after he got off the trap, I was filming, and he just hissed at me and then slithered away.
Yeah, he totally hissed the whole way and went
Yeah,
into this little bush.
yeah, it was cool.
And we were like, "We did it."
We felt so good about ourselves.
Yeah, dude,
We
it was
saved a
so
snake.
cool. It's such a weird thing to say, but I was like, I've been hoping something like that would happen to me. I see it happen to other people on, like, those snake groups all the time, and I'm like, "Man, why can't I be put in that situation?" Um, yeah, so that was really cool. Also another highlight of the trip for me, I got to handle a snake and help him out.
Yep, we saved a snake.
We did. A gopher snake.
And so yeah, after that we went to sleep, and the next morning it was Easter Sunday.
Yeah,
And
sure
we got
was.
our stuff, and we headed to the airport, and we flew home.
Yeah.
Me, you, and Harper. Just 3 coyotes running through the desert, howling at the moon.
Oh, we forgot to say we saw a roadrunner.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
We saw one run across the road, and we were like, "Oh my god, where's Wile E. Coyote?"
Saw saw a chupacabra, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was an awesome trip. I mean, like I said, we packed so much into it, and it it was relaxing. I remember coming back. I did a half day of work on Monday, so I came back to work, and I was like, "Man, I feel so rested." Like, we didn't get a whole lot of rest, but just mentally, and I don't know, in my soul, it was just so good to get out in the outdoors,
Yep, yep. It was a good time. I highly recommend Arizona to anybody that wants to, especially if you live on the East Coast. It's somewhere you can go that's domestic. It's in country, but it's like another world. It's
Yeah.
very different than what a lot of people might be used to.
Yeah, and let us know if you've been, what you think about our um itinerary, or if you would do that itinerary, depending on the time that you have while you're there, right? But yeah, let us know what you think. And other than that, that is it for this week. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for waiting for us for a week.
Yeah,
I think we're even
that
going to
part.
drop this episode a little late, but yeah, I mean, doing this podcast is great, and we talk about a lot of past travels that we've done, but we also like to we travel all the time, so we like to, keep current and talk about things that we're currently doing, and so sometimes that involves us being very busy and traveling.
And this is like our, passion project. This is episode 39. So we've only taken one other break, and it was right after the new year. Other than that, we've been consistently putting episodes out every week. So
That's right.
yeah, thank you for waiting,
Yeah.
like you said.
Thanks to all our listeners.
Yeah. I probably should have mentioned this earlier because I did mention the crick in my neck, but if I look weird if you're watching on YouTube, it's because there's something wrong with my neck. We'll figure it out though. Other than that, you can find Temporary Locals on Spotify and Instagram at Temporary Locals Podcast. You can find Jared on Instagram at Rover_Stover and also on YouTube at Rover Stover. And you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Mego Goes Global. And with that,
I'm Jared.
and I'm Megan. Thanks for exploring with us.
And remember to be a local anywhere you go.
Bye.
Bye.